looking through my current palettes and sort of seeing which ones are ready to leave the nest. I've actually decluttered quite a few palettes this year. I haven't done a video on them because typically I just feel an urge and I go with it, and then all of a sudden the palette's gone. But one that might surprise a lot of people is I decluttered the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. I know. Take a breath. Pause. I know a lot of people love that palette. I couldn't get on with that palette. I also have had it for a while, and so I think the formula was just like done. But yeah, so bye-bye palette. There are also like other ones. I would use them and then I would be like, I don't even like this. Hi, Rosé. Anyways, so I actually was wondering if I should declutter this Huda Beauty Naughty Nude palette. Now, I have decluttered the rest of my Huda Beauty palettes, and I only have this one, which is Naughty Nude, and I have the New Nude palette. So I wanted to start with this one to see if I could dupe it with some of the singles that I have. So here is the Huda palette. Very pretty, very like mauve-y, pinky, and here in this magnetic lethal palette is the palette that I came up with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some swatches, like some side-by-side comparisons. Now, essentially, duping the shade doesn't mean that it's the exact shade, but I was trying to go for like the theme of the shade. I also did not dupe the little jelly thing over here. I decided to just add another color into the palette that I created. So first, let me show you the palettes side by side. So here's the palette I created, and here is the Huda palette. Okay, so let's go ahead and swatch and see what happens. Okay, so I started by swatching the first row here of the Naughty Nude palette. I have that kind of going across the top. The first shade here is Filthy. The next is Passion. Next we have Shameless, then we have Please Me, Hypnotic, and Hard. Ew. 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 So, next I'm going to swatch the first row of what I came up with my singles. So, the first shade here is from Sydney Grace, and it is called Treasure All. Now you can see mine has a bit more of like a warmer tone to it, which I'm fine with because this is a pretty like pastel-y bright pink going on. The shade next to that is Pretties for Your Face in Nitro. Again, with this one, I feel like my base is a little different. Mine has more of a multi-chromey look to it, while the Naughty Nude one is kind of purpley. Another Pretties for Your Face in the shade Copperhead. Then we have Cleona Caribou. Then we have Sydney Grace Toffee. And then we have Sydney Grace Dream Big. So those are the kind of like closest shades I could get to the Naughty Nude palette. It is different, but I feel like there are enough similarities where I could get similar looks with some of these shades. So let's go to the second row. Now here is the second row of the Naughty Nude, and we have Untamed, Irresistible, Flower Power, Rough, Spicy, and Arouse. They're doing way too much with these things. Way too much. So let's go ahead in with my second row. First, we have a Sydney Grace shade named Sweet Tooth. Then we have a Cleona shade named Midnight Sun. Next, well, actually the next four are all Sydney Grace shades. This is Morning Star. Then we have Pine Cone. Next is Keep Smiling, which is actually one that I use quite a bit. And the last one is Tangerine, which is one that I often use in the fall. So there we have those shades. I feel like I was able to get closer on this row to the original shades than the first row. So let's do that last row and I will compare the two. Now here is the last row. We have Slippery, which is that like glossy shade, so there's not much pigment to it. Then we have Tantric, Naughty, Provocative, Desire, and Juicy. I just feel like this is too, like, I'm all about sexiness, but this feels a little like too much, too on the nose, like, I don't know, whatever. Okay. So let me swatch my last row here. Now, I wasn't sure what to do for the, that Slippery shade, the one that is kind of like that glossy one. So I decided to put in another purple. I felt like I could use like a truer purple in there. And this one is Pretties for Your Face in the shade Potion. I think that's just really pretty. Then the rest are all Sydney Grace. We've got Blushed, then we have Lords a Leaping, then we have The Ballet, The Chase, and Mom Ride. There we go. So let me see if I can fit all the shades on this arm so that we can compare all of them, the entire palette. Okay, so this is going to be kind of an awkward angle, but I wanted to find a way to show you all of the shades. So the top row, that is where you will find all of the Huda Beauty Naughty Nude shades, and the bottom is where you will find the palette I created. So I want you to go ahead and lie to me and tell me you like my palette better. Thank you, you're so sweet. And yeah, I kind of feel like I've gotten sort of the vibe of the palette. I would say that there are a few shades that I could change out maybe for ones that fit the palette a bit better, but there are some that I think work a little better on my skin tone in terms of how they show up on my skin tone. but I feel like it's close enough, and I know that I could find other shades in my collection that might go a bit better with some of the Huda shades. I feel like it's close enough that I might be able to get rid of the palette and just keep my singles. Let me know what you think. Also, let me know if you want me to try this with any other palette. I actually tend to do this when I'm looking at palettes to sort of see if I can, you know, get the same sort of feel for it. And actually for this one, I would probably cut it down a bit. Like, I find that there are some like repeat sort of shades that I could do without. So there is that. So that was a really fun way to kind of look at what I have and compare it to what I have. So I think I might do that again. For now, I am going to clean myself up, and just so you know, what is on my eyes today is the Cosmic Wanderer palette from, or Cosmic Wanderer palette from Terra Moons. It is gorgeous. So let me know if you want to see some looks with that. Maybe I'll do one of my 2 looks. We actually turn it into 4 to 6 looks kind of videos with this one. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you try to dupe out different palettes, what you tend to use. I noticed that I use a lot of Sydney Grace. I think that really just speaks to the singles that they have. And hopefully some of this was helpful. I hope that you are taking care of yourself. I've gotten 2 massages this month, so I am winning. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.